going to be doing a little exercise today to improve your line work and get you a little bit more confident with the pencil or whatever medium you're using. It's a good one to do if maybe if you don't know what to draw, or you're somewhere and you just have a piece of paper and just something in your hand. It's something I did this maybe first time years and years ago. I don't even know where I learned it from. And I've also seen this transferred into not iterative drawings, but actually, next thing I'm going to say is going to be easier to explain once I draw a little bit of it. So all you want to do, get your pencil or whatever you're doing, hold it in kind of in a way you can use your elbow a lot, and just start drawing circles. And once you draw a circle, draw one just next to it. Maybe you can change the shape up, draw like a bean shape, draw just weird shapes, and make sure those lines just kind of slowly touch each other. Maybe just be a little bit faster with it sometimes, come at it from a different direction. You don't always have to do just that. You can go like that, like this, and I know this looks a bit silly, but this does actually genuinely help with your the way you put down marks and getting you a bit more comfortable with everything. You can really think about, like, you're filling in the gaps between what you've drawn down. It's actually a very nice thing to do. It can be also a warm-up before you do some drawing. It's also nicer to do this on just a really big sheet of paper and fill the whole page up with all these little circles and shapes that you draw in. You can also do afterwards, you've got some of these shapes down. Maybe start changing the shapes around and shading them. Making up the light on your own, giving a little bit of volume to everything you see. Think about, if this has a core shadow there, maybe this is casting a shadow down on whatever this shape is over here, eh? And then it has its own shadow as well. Maybe this is going to be a lost edge now instead of it was a hard edge between each other, defining each shape. Maybe this whole shape is just in shadow and it's in the background. Play around with it. It's a very, very good exercise. And like, if you don't want to do the shading, just keep doing circles around. Just keep placing things around, filling in the gaps, and make sure your lines kind of touch at least. Because if you're drawing it over here, it doesn't, you're thinking about the space between and getting confident just drawing in between those marks. Because like you get to trust your hand and your eye a bit to know, that's where I'm putting that mark, and it is going to go down exactly the way I see it, But if you feel a bit more confident, start connecting some shapes. Change some shapes around. Make some donuts. It doesn't have to be, you're not thinking about masterpieces here. You're just playing around. And you can also start thinking about marks, maybe. How if I sweep my hand one way, what kind of mark that creates compared to other ones that I make. Maybe that has a bit of a dip in it. Maybe try to create some texture if you're confident enough. It's a nice thing to do. Think about, how do I now make this a soft edge? Do I go with my thumb? Won't be able to erase too much on the old newsprint. But now if these two circles became a shape on their own, it's one big shape. What was I going to say earlier? Oh yeah, I think this was on a Proco video, and I forget, is it Morbius or Mobius? He did drawings like this, if I recall. I'll have to link the video in the top right hand corner here to the one I'm talking about. It's a very good exercise to do. But it all starts off just doing these circles, I think. You don't have to do the big shapes if you want. But another way to connect everything. Start just getting yourself thinking about your drawings a bit more. And it can loosen you up, because a lot of times, you're going into it thinking, I really need to create just the most unreal thing I've ever created today. You don't need to. You get kind of caught up in especially if you did something you're actually quite happy with, you know, the next time you go to draw something, you, in your head, you need it to be just as good as the last time, but that's not true. It can all depend on the day, how you feel, what reference you're using, the confidence you have with your subject. And you can't control everything when you're drawing, you know. Also, this is like a nice little thing. It's like, oh, now this is this little ball here is behind the other one, so I'm creating forms overlapping each other. It's a fun thing. Maybe that casts a shadow on the other one. Try to think about how I can represent that. What was I talking about? I think I got lost in whatever my last sentence was. Maybe I should think about how to connect these two shapes up here. Do they connect like that, maybe? Can I do more values in the lighter side? This probably has a cast shadow here, eh? Don't have to... This is a soft edge, but we have a hard edge here, so there's varying degrees in your values and your edges. And it makes it so when you actually go to do some more difficult subjects, you know how to approach something you want to represent. You know how to translate what you're seeing a bit more. Again, just a simple exercise. And if you really wanted to maybe even go further, why don't you draw around your shapes? Collect new forms and see what happens. Maybe you're not sure how it goes on another form, but just place something down. See what you see. A lot of times I think when drawing, you can make a mark that, you know, the more and more you draw, you do make mistakes, but sometimes that mistake can like really inform you of how to do something you weren't quite sure of before. I get to thinking a bit more three-dimensionally about everything you see. And you don't just have to do circles, you know, you can do spirals. And the spiral can now have a bit of light facing one direction. It more looks like a pastry now. But now that also has, maybe the pastry has a dark side and a light side to it. Maybe the pastry has a big stick coming through it and out the other side. So that should all be in darkness here. A bit more light on this side. But that would also then be casting a shadow on your nice pastry there. But what might not be, you know, straight because it's going around forms. So think about that a little bit too. The shadow might be bigger because maybe your lighting is over here and then the shadow's kind of coming out like this, eh? Fun little things like that. And I'm just calling it a pastry, but it's not really anything, is it? Just some spirals and some lines. But it's a good way to get you thinking about light and form without getting challenged by looking at a subject, even a still life, you know, like you could think of something like too much like a pot, but just think of it as a shape first. Maybe we're getting some reflective light then on the other side of the shadows. Yeah, you can spend all day just doing a page. I really encourage it. Maybe listen to something you really enjoy. your favorite music or something new. Maybe you're like, oh, I haven't actually listened to a whole album of this musician before. Maybe I'll give it a go today. But you know, I find it hard to sit down and just listen to something sometimes. So maybe just do a page of doodling, I suppose, and see how you find it. Yeah. Thanks, and I hope you guys try it out.